away, ready to counter it.
I think as far as, team barometers go, Grig is generally a pretty good measure of how TSM Academy are looking. So makes sense they win game 1, and then game 2, a very different story. But we'll leave that in the past for now, as we are into draft for game number 3. Sona and Siva continue to be bans here for Cloud9 Academy, and Silas and Kindred remain mainstays for TSM Academy.
Yeah, so it looks like the bans are going to remain very similar, but what about the picks? Because like Mark pointed out, it is very curious that these teams continue to choose the side that they have lost in to start in. And we will see a slight variation with the Jinx being banned out, so making sure that Keith doesn't get that pick. And what is the first rotation going to be? Because Morgana did not look too good for Cloud9 in game 1.
Also something like Lucian, which Keith has played a lot of as well. I also like the Rise from Cloud9, just being banned away. Not really wanting to deal with that champion again. But it looks like they do first pick Lucian here, so we'll see if it works out for Cloud9 Academy. Didn't look so good for TSM.
No, but I think that's the comp in general was kind of difficult to work around, that if you fell behind in the top lane, you only have the Lucian to really bring you back into the game. But this is going to be our 3rd game of Thresh, and in combination with Rek'Sai, you know they're going to be camping that bottom lane. So the Lucian, while he is quite mobile, he's not mobile enough to get away from these two.
I do like that the supports continue to trade Thresh. We'll see what counter pick they come up with. It is Braum this time around from Cloud9, nice and simple. And they'll take the Lissandra nice and early here as well. No need to really think too much about the picks, and Blazola feels the same way. Just takes Cassia for himself, and already we're into phase 2 of bans.
Lots of scrappy fights early on, and he takes the Cassiopeia because it was banned out the last time around. He doesn't want to have it be banned here, and you're probably counting on Golden Glue taking this pick. Kumo has shown to be in a wide range of champion pools in this series, playing Riven in game 1, Poppy game 2, so Golden Glue looks so much better in the Morgana than the Lissandra as a team and for what he brings to the team. So just saying, okay, we're confident that this is not a flex pick, that this is for Golden Glue. Let's get the best matchup right away.
And Blazola also, I think, 2 games on Cassio in their semi-final and looked great in both of them. So we'll see what the rest of the draft brings, as Hecarim going to be banned by TSMA, Cloud9A working with Kalista. There's Aatrox once again, will be kept out of Blabber's hands, who has suffered the brunt of attention in the draft so far. He has eaten so many bans or blocks. I feel like he's picked phase 2 every draft, and he's lost like 3 or 4 picks at least.
He really has, and it goes even deeper than that because Rek'Sai was taken as well. So that's 3 champions that have been knocked, actually 4 that were knocked off of his champion pool.
Ooh.
So really trying to keep him down, but I believe this is a player that has a way deeper champion pool. You can't even ban him out if you tried with 5. Remember, you still got Talia, you got meta picks like the Jarvan, the Nocturne. There's still so much that he can do with this comp.
Yeah, and actually GP very early there for TSM Academy. So announcing their solo laners, Brandini deciding that he does want Gangplank for this one. There is Jarvan picked up by Blabber, pretty straightforward stuff, and it's now just a matter of finding the other solo lane.
Yeah, what matchup do you want into the GP? You can always go ahead and take a Jace. It is a strong matchup early on. You can bully it. You've got great synergy with the Jarvan. And what will they go? I know they like to hover this Shen every single time, but to lock it in, I don't think so.
Yeah, just Cho'Gath instead, so Kumo going for a tank can be rough into GP at times, but I think in general should be just fine farming it out. Whether or not you are happy that the GP is also farming alongside you will have to be seen, but TSM Academy decided that they wanted last pick Marksman, and less tactical is planning on taking Cassio bot lane, which kind of doubt, given how good a Blazola is on the pick. So it looks like Tristana was what they were looking for, and they will take it.
Yeah, we saw Triss today in the LEC win a game and just be a hard carry into Cho as well. So she's really good, especially against these matchups that want to hard engage on you. Not only can you get out of the Jarvan, you can keep Cho'Gath away, you can get Lissandra ultied out. So she's going to be really safe here. I love the long range pick because the Cho is going to be a pain to deal with for the Cassiopeia. You get hit with a silence, you got to dodge those ruptures that you're going to have to rely on another carry to do the work.
Lightning fast draft though. We're already counting down to game number 3 here. It seems like the teams are starting to learn, preferences and where they want these drafts to be directed. Cloud9 with a bit more aggression this go round in the early game, but pretty standard across the 5. And I think TSM Academy maybe a bit more carry potential in their solo lanes and a bit more scaling in their bot lane, but for the most part, I think both teams will be happy with where they landed.
I think they are, because the Gangplank yes, he's not going to be punished that early. Cho is not the punishing laner, so he gets the free farm. And anytime you have GP, really all you can ask for is give me free farm. You get it, you have the Cho, and it's going to be a matter of one person bringing in damage and carry potential and the other one bringing utility and tankiness. So it's going to come down to execution in these lanes.
I think Cloud9, see if they can play a bit more aggressive in the early game. It does feel like TSM have been dictating a lot of that, I guess with the exception of Blabber, who is always very active, and of course Kuma's outplay in Game 2 certainly got him off to a roaringly good start. So curious to see what they can get done with the Lucian. Keith was unleashing on people when he played it in their semi-final. So we'll see if Tactical can handle the heat, because Lucian Braum, always a problem.
It should be an action-packed game. Every lane is gankable with their junglers for both teams, so why not, right? You can just do 3 camps, hit your level 3, and then just start ganking over and over. The Lissandra is great in setting up a gank with the Cassiopeia alongside the Jarvan, even though she has that cleanse, and the Rexa can do the same. So both of these junglers should be very active, and they can choose to just ignore each other and just kill their laners over and over, and it would still be a good game.
Not sure if Blabber feels the same way, but he kind of, any target is a good target, I feel like, for Blabber as far as who he wants to go after. And once again, he has taken Conqueror on a 3rd different champion, so
I think you're spot on in what you said. It's not a matter that Conqueror is amazing. It's just you don't want to be the one without Conqueror. If one person has it, you just don't want to be the one without it.
Yeah, Electrocute is, you go in, you do your burst, you retreat. Blabber is not a man who retreats very often.
You keep going with Conqueror. It actually does promote that.
All right, well, everyone just hanging out, getting some vision down. We have 3 topside right now for TSM Academy, but not too surprising. Maybe Blabber will start here on the blue buff. Ward down. Does go down. It's Golden Glue that picks up that first CS. The lane's over.
Yeah. 1 CS, gold difference XP. It's actually not enough to hit level 2 sooner, but it's still the first number on the board, and that's what matters.
Feels good. This Blabber is actually going to start on blue buff. No leash, I don't think. Maybe Kumo tossed the spell in, but Blabber going to be on his own for most of this one. And straight to the top half of the map.
Oh, it looks like he's waiting for the scuttle. Yeah, but he is in sight, so that's not too thrilling for him to just sit around. And that's kind of what happens when you increase the spawn time of so many camps, that you end up waiting a lot. But securing this crab is a very big deal. Crabs are a great source of income and XP for Jarvan. That is not the greatest at AoE clearing, but he is sick at securing these little objectives. And because he does that and mid lane gets a shove, he now gets 2 crabs. And that is huge. That stops Rek'Sai's ganking patterns from being as creative.
Blabber going to get the crabs also with an early sweeper. Takes down that ward. Gets himself the next crab. Actually smites it just to make extra sure that it was his. And after that next camp, he will be level 3. Grig also powering through most of these camps, maybe trying to get to this side of the jungle before Blabber thinks about taking some, but Grig with red buff on level 3 is more than confident in where he's at right now.
He's probably going to stick to farming because of the double crabs that were taken. It's just not worth the risk that somebody can collapse so much faster than you can and speed you out. Not worth it. Just stick to farming. And Rex's a great farming jungler as well. Obviously, you don't want to spend the entire game doing that, but if the situation calls for it, you can do it and be effective at it.
Jungle is staying a bit quieter for now as Keith and Diamond continuing to play aggressive. In fact, with a wave to come, it's about 5 CS, almost a wave up for Keith and Diamond as they're continuing to harass Tactical and Treats as well. Finally, the wave will move towards the turret, so Tactical will get a bit of extra time to try and get those minions, but as expected, Keith is playing very aggressive with the Lucian back in his hands.
And that's actually more punishing to Tristana than other AD carries because of her explosive shot. When you're last hitting into the turret, you get that one little last.
Oh, Tactical forced to burn the heal, but he still got stunned. Ignite is down, that's almost enough, but he'll barely live.
And now he's going to miss out on even more CS. So already a 12 CS differential with a wave missing. Let's see if they're going to commit to try to get some plates in here. They have to Jarvan down, and no. Tristana is going to stick around. She does have that Doran Shield regeneration. That is what's keeping her in this lane. That's what I'm talking about. You get the explosive shot. It just messes up your CS. Tristana wants to be pushing all the time so that she can secure all of that crowd or all that gold.
Here comes Grig though, puts a control ward down, now knows that Kumo Probably does not have vision, given how far ahead he's pushed up, so he's going to tunnel in. Kumo going to get knocked off. There's a TP in as well, though, from Cloud9 Academy. Kumo buys a bit more time. TP will be completed. Golden Glue does land the root. Kumo cannot find the follow-up CC, though, so Grig will flash out to safety.
And even though the wave was pushed perfectly, it was a greatly timed gank, there was just no mana on Brandini. He was pushed in all day long. Another fight bottom lane.
The tactical out of summoners after that last exchange, but Keith running a little lower on mana and doesn't have flash either. Potentially still dangerous, so for Tristana to be sticking around.
They are asserting their dominance here. And even though they have a big CS lead, they do have to recall at some point, basically. They have to go back and spend that gold. And it's probably just going to be a lifesteal item for him to make sure that he stays and sustains even more and can avoid what just happened, where you push somebody out and they can just stay in the lane and you don't have enough HP to punish it.
Diamond actually already took his recall, but looks like Keith will be staying for this next wave. As looks like TSM Academy will finally consider that recall, although as soon as they see Keith, Tactical's like, I don't think so. I'm not going to be the first one to recall in this lane.
It is a game of chicken. Who recalls first? One person hides behind, trying to make sure that the other one doesn't see your recall. Then you sneak back, cancel it at the last second. It's actually a skill to practice. Legitimately timing your recall and stopping it at 0.1 seconds so that you can make it seem like you were gone. They push the wave. Surprise, you just pushed the wave. Thank you very much. Now I'm casting.
Yeah, with plates especially, those little mind games can become even more valuable, as to see Brandini with that early chain looking good despite the armor up already for Kumo.
Look at Grig.
In the lane.
He's positioning himself. There is no flash on Lucian, and Thresh has his, so he might be the target.
Blabber also on this side of the map, though, and did hit the Scryer's Bloom, but now they know that something's up. Grig is actually going to get aggressed on, and if he gets stunned, he might die. The stun lands in, but they can't quite connect the last bits of damage.
Oh, he is so lucky they did not block that Lantern without flash. That Rexa was about to just feed.
And that's Blabber actually going to start the Infernal Drake as a result. Knows Grig is weak, knows that bot lanes haven't recalled, so is happy to take the advantage here.
Yeah, this is really good from Cloud9. They have asserted their dominance. The Jarvan has the red smite, so he's going to be a little bit stronger in the 1v1. And Rek'Sai is trying to heal up from the camp, but it's not enough. This dragon has gone Cloud9's way, and it's a huge deal because Lucian is not stacking crit. He builds his flat AD. That's going to make this early game champion even stronger.
And we talked about, again, Cloud9 Academy picking more for that early game. Well, early game looking decent right now. No kills, but 400 gold up thanks to some good farming and a very fast Infernal Drake, with the next one also being Infernal. Pretty nice start to any game.
It's nice, but now things get a little more complicated for them because Gangplank has his ultimate, so he's going to be able to help out the bottom lane whenever he can. And when you have a Tristana, every time that you give a kill over, it's a good idea. Yes, Gangplank can do very well with gold, but Tristana is guaranteed. You don't need to do any skills. You don't need to do any barrels. You just right-click and it's already cashed in. So making sure that the bottom lane stays safe will be part of Brandini's job as he continues to farm in the top lane.
And you see those late recalls for the bot side. BF Sword up a tactical, Bilge Water plus a dagger there for Keith. So relatively similar, although Lucian will be happy and continue to play aggressive given the state of the lane. Golden Glue also back with early Sork Shoes, interestingly. Probably thinking more about leaving his lane once again, although the early TP that he used before means that he can't really get another one of those plays done, as Grig is thinking about something in top. Blabber looks for top lane also, as Brandini is forced to flash.
Yeah, that's the Gangplank that now is low mana, not enough to really do a whole lot in here. And Rek'Sai has to come up here to try to respond and save him. Kumo is so close to being able to ult, but
they want to Blaze Olive. Early cleanse already, but a good ult turnaround there from a Blaze Olive. There's the ult out of Grig. Finds first blood for a Blaze Olive, who's just caught in the Cataclysm, but Golden Glue just can't finish it off.
The Lissandra is not strong enough without a proper engage with the Jarvan. Cassiopeia gets a really nice ultimate that stops him from being distracted.
Oh,
bottom lane.
6. Treat's only level 5. That's an easy kill for Keith.
This is what this lane wants to do. You hit the hook, Rom gets in front of you, and you get locked down. Now they're gonna be able to threaten a dive onto Tristana by herself. What is she gonna do?
At least get the plate, flash, and jump up a tactical, but Diamond does land that first Winter's Bite. He's continuing to just go for the plates right now. Needs one more. This wave should be big enough. It's gonna be close with Explosive Shot, but they do get the extra gold. Tactical still not that safe if someone else comes along, but looks like he's trying to finish off a bit more. Plate Golders will watch this exchange again. So it looks like a good start for Cloud9.
Yeah, but the big thing is the sidestep out of a Blaze Olive combined with the cleanse and the miasma. Nobody can get out of that one. So he played that so well, and that's why he gets out alive. And now we're going to go back into the bottom lane and see how this one started out. Because they don't have a division that sees the Braum. He jumps in right away, and that's the problem with this match.
And they're doing it again. Flash forward. That Q barely missed for Diamond. That would have been a kill into Tactical, but now he's got no flash.
And that's understanding that when Thresh throws hook, he's locked in, but another fight bottom lane.
Righteous Glory for the slow. Blabber finds the knockup, looking for the Dunkaroonie. Brandini dead, feasted on by Kumo, who barely lives that turret dive.
This is so action-packed. Every time we go somewhere else, they're already fighting. That's really good moves by Blabber, punishing the lane that doesn't have summoners. And if that's the case that we're if that's the trend we're seeing, I'm expecting some repeat visits into the top lane.
I mean, it's kind of funny to think that, all jokes aside, Cloud9's like, yeah, we kind of just need a warm-up game. It's starting to feel like a truth here. Game 1 looked a lot slower than this game certainly does, and even Game 2 felt a little lukewarm as they were building their momentum up in that game. So TSM Academy might have to watch the momentum that Cloud9 are building as well, because this early game's going Cloud9's way.
And that's one of the big things about these best of series, that momentum plays a huge role, understanding where is the other team's head at, how well are they playing, what matchup is going, and just checking in with your coach, checking in with your other players. Hey, how do you think mid lane was doing? Like, he's having an off game. Just saying something like that is good enough of a sample size from the game 1 that lets you move forward in a much more confident fashion, understanding where your opponent is at and just playing accordingly. And I think that Cloud9 is probably really good at that, and that's why they usually struggle in game 1, because they have yet to really understand what the enemy team is doing, and they just take one quick look at you and then they figured you out. You've been downloaded.
Kuma's at it again, by the way. The early Righteous Glory in that kill has actually built up a pretty massive gold lead. 30 CS up as Grig trying to stalk the Cho'Gath here in the top side, but no vision really to speak of, and doesn't feel that safe. Cho'Gath pretty tanky, and with the stopwatch means that Grig gonna try his chances mid instead. He does get the control ward. Golden Glue will play on the safe side here with Blabber, and they might be trying to play here.
Yeah, the dragon is up right now, so let's see if Grig uses his Prey Seeker, his Void Seeker, to look for the dunk.
There's Blabber with feats, as we can see on the roam. They're going again in for Golden Glue. There's a dunk from Blabber, but the knockup doesn't land. A great ult there from Cassio. Does stun Blabber and turn it back around.
And this is why you take Cassiopeia into Lissandra. With Cleanse, you can outplay it every single time. He gets out, gets the Jarvan to be committed, and then he's locked in. But they're going onto Rek'Sai.
Yeah, Brick got that tanky. One more bullet there. Need a pollution. In fact, Diamond's Ignite is enough to get the kill. Now Treat's forced to flash over the wall. And they'll trade here. Blabber dead, but so's the other jungler, so they want this Infernal. They've got the feast. This should be Cloud9's.
That is definitely going to be Cloud9's. TSM has nothing to do here. All they've got left is Brandini farming in the top lane, trying to get a turret, but he's been pushed in all day long. There's no way he's going to be able to trade a turret. So a nice GP out of Kuma, but best of all, it's Diamond and Keith once again being really aggressive with their duo lane and finding a pick onto Rek'Sai. So what looked like a great move out of C9 then gets countered by TSM. Surprise, it was C9's all along.
Yep, the early play of the Ruin King here for Keith, given how well the lane has been going, just meant so much in that exchange. And I like the attempt from Blabber and Golden Glue to, you know, hide in a brush, maybe get a pick off, but it's been all bot lane, it feels like, for quite a lot of this series. As Keith now under attack in a 1v3, make it 2v3 as Diamond is still there. Hook gonna hit, Diamond may have to sacrifice himself here for the greater good as Keith dash and flashes away, but Tactical at least gets one.
Yeah, it's really nice to be able to get that kill through vision, and unfortunately Tactical does miss out on some CS and takes quite a bit of turret damage. His turret takes turret damage, and it's not that big of a payout. You do get the flash out of Keith, but that's mostly on C9 for seeing them there and not backing off.
Tactical will stay and keep pushing another wave as the Phage is now there for Keith, who's moving in towards that Black Cleaver second. First turret still on the table, and the turret plates are about to drop off. In fact, they just do, just as Tactical may have collected 1 or 2, but still significant damage under that turret as the resistances drop off. That's all they're going to get here. Still first brick ready for the taking.
And the gold is essentially dead even. It's those Infernos that are going to be making a big, big difference in this game. Not necessarily because Cloud9 benefits so much from it, but because TSM doesn't have them. They're the ones with 4 champions that would really love to have them, and unfortunately, it's not theirs anymore. And TSM rotates to the top lane, making sure that the Herald is not secured without a fight. And if Cloud9 is to commit to this, TSM is not going to give it up without putting up a good fight.
Cloud9 though, first to the play, as Golden Glue is able to push in mid and camp the Pixel Rush on top of a control. I just don't think TSM Academy have it right now to try and force the fight, so they will likely just have to give the Herald or maybe try a steal. The Feast goes down, Kumo gets it, and Blabber picks it up and pops it in his trinket box.
And it was the vision that prevented TSM from getting in there. They committed 3 control wards to making sure that that Herald was taken out of sight. So TSM did not have the window to get in there quickly enough. All they can really do in those situations is use Rek'Sai to face check. And if they're not moving and if her Q is on cooldown, it's just not going to happen. And that's why you typically see teams favor tanks. Tanks have an easy time face checking in those situations and getting the party started.
Well, Golden is actually back to even here. So those 2 Infernal Drakes do matter, but will not be reflected in the gold difference. But the tower's still ready to be taken first for that bonus goal. It does feel like TSM Academy may have slowed the game down just enough to maybe fight off the next few minutes that Cloud9 look to throw at them. It will really depend on how the next engagement goes, because we've seen how explosive these mid games have been.
Well, just how we were saying that, rather, how the analyst desk was saying that Cloud9 needed patience in game 1 with their composition that had the Riven and Morgana. This is another one where TSM is the team that needs to have that patience. You've got the GP, you've got Cassio and Tristana. Let Cloud9 control the early pace of the game. As long as they continue to trade and take objectives when they know they can take them without suffering heavy losses, go for it. They know that if they can survive the engagement later stage of the game, but they're going on Golden.
That's an amazing hook by Trees. Ulti will land there for Golden Glue, but he's stuck in the box on the Miasma. Pops a stopwatch to buy a bit of extra time, and Flash is out over to safety, or at least relative safety, as he's still being chased. GP ult, I think, is going to seal it. He dodges the next hook from Trees. He throws out the slows, but Golden Glue knows he's dead. Blaze Olive finally gets that kill.
He at least bought a lot of time and a lot of ultimates. That GP ultimate to seal the deal. I'm surprised that Greg did not want to pray Secret and use his ult to seal that, but hey, you find a way to give Cassiopeia more gold, and that is fantastic because these are the champions that are going to carry you the game. Not the Rek'Sai, it's going to be the Cassio, just like she's been doing in deferring so many of the mid lane games.
We're continuing to show strength though, as first turret will go to Cloud9 Academy, and in the place you probably expected, Diamond and Keith continuing to accrue some gold leads here. Tactical does have Infinity Edge completed, but his build will be quite a bit more expensive than the Black Cleaver Blade of the Ruin King build that Keith should have finished relatively quickly here.
Yes, she's got higher standards. He won't settle for a Blade of the Ruin King, only IEs for her.
So Drake up right now, it's an Ocean. The teams do want to start a squabble for it. Blabber also ready with that Rift Herald, and he doesn't have that much time left to place it down, so might be looking mid, just to at least provide some sort of distraction. Golden Glue threatens the engage, but does not pull the trigger on the claw. We're going to cover Blabber here and make sure the Herald charges up. Good wave clear though from a Blaze Olive, just demolishes that wave. So the lead Shelly in, she'll get the charge, but not enough to take down the turret.
And just a little tickle, but they do buy enough time to move into the river first and try to secure vision, look for a fight here. Let's see what they do with it, because Lissandra's positioned in the bottom side alongside Jarvan. That's a main engage tool out of C9. If those guys are not in sync, the fight is not going to happen.
Yeah, you can see even though the top laners could join in some ways, although Brandini's globals are both on cooldown right now. Cloud9 actually still being more patient. I thought they would take the Drake there. They actually moved Keith and Golden Glue back down to lanes to keep getting farm as Humo TP's in. Now making extra sure they get the Drake, I suppose.
And GP is walking down here too. A fight starting.
Yeah, they're going to go for that instead. Golden Glue looking for the flank position. Over the wall, in onto Treats. He's going to die to Kumo. Now Golden Glue with that first passive ulti. What a good knockup. Finds 2 onto a Blaze Olive and Brandini, but Tactical just takes out the Lissandra.
They could not stand in that corridor anymore. Gangplank pops his ultimate, and there's just way too much damage to go in there. Even the Cho'Gath wouldn't go in there. So they find the kill, but you burn enough ultimates, you have the position that allows you to continue to take this drag. Top lane turret's not going to go down in the trade for TSM, but because not many kills went over, I think TSM cannot be sad about that one. The Ocean Dragon is not going to be such a big deal. Yes, Cloud9 now has 3 dragons, but these fights aren't being poke battles. They're all just happening in one go, so it's not going to affect the fighting. And laning phase is over, so the Ocean Dragon's benefits are not that big here, except when it comes to the Elder Dragon in a few minutes.
Well, it does cause an Infernal number 3 to spawn as well. And
True.
Kumo's up to 10 feast stacks. He's just been roaming around, doing Blabber's job, securing all these objectives. And with that Warmogs down, he has so much health already as this Cho'Gath.
Once he gets that Stone Plate, his damage on his ultimate is going to go through the roof. That's very scary because we've all seen those montages of Cho's one-shotting people with Stone Plate.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how safe you feel you are as Tactical or Blaze Olive, if he's in range, you will probably die to that combo.
Look at Blabber, he's standing still. They're trying to bait Greg, but he doesn't fall for it. That would have been cool.
Certainly would have, but at least C9 get the blue buff for themselves. In fact, a lot faster with that rotation. Actually take the mid outer turret down as well. Up still 1,000 gold for Cloud9 Academy, which isn't a lot given the circumstances, but way more map control. So look to find maybe a stronger foothold here in this game.
And part of it is GP. Yes, he's down in CS, but he gets more gold for the kill that he secures with his barrel and his Q. So he's all happy. As long as he's getting the gold that he needs, he's going to be hitting like a truck.
Yep, 2 items already, and many more on the way. Brandini continues to collect gold. Does feel like Cloud9 Academy are playing pretty patiently in this game, which, given the composition, I'm not sure is warranted. I mean, they don't get massively outscaled, I suppose, but always a worry when, you know, you have a good start to the game and you pick yourself some good early game champions. It's interesting when the game delays. Do you know what you're doing? Are you playing appropriately slowly, or are you just maybe being too cautious? Always an interesting question to ask yourself.
Yeah, I think usually Cloud9 would be a little bit more aggressive here, but the cleanse, the oranges out of Gangplank means that the solo lanes are not that easy to target. And because bottom lane was kind of already in the control of Diamond and Keith, not many opportunities for diving presented themselves, so they slowed things down, and now they're threatening the Baron. Because they have a Cho'Gath, it has to be respected. How is TSM going to face check this? It's going to have to be up to Rek'Sai using that Prey Seeker, and there it is. She commits a control ward instead.
Well, they've got some vision on the left side there. Cloud9 did not commit to the Baron. In fact, Kumo is wandering back down towards the bottom half of the map to meet Brandini, who's starting to push waves back in onto the outer turret. With no TP for Kumo, it's a little tougher to cause too much threat. I think in general, Cloud9 feel like they're waiting for some item break points and just some cooldowns to come back up. But that does suit TSM Academy if they need the game to delay a bit longer between a Trista Cassio and a Gangplank. Can't be too upset that the game has slowed down a lot in this game.
No, not at all. And the Tristana too. She has 2 items just like the Lucian that, you know, you got a Zeal right now, but it's not such a big deal. The Phantom Dancer passive is very useful when dealing with these high burst targets like Lissandra and Cho'Gath. So Triss is going to be in a really good spot here, but I wonder how Cassiopeia is going to be in these fights, because if they can't pop her right away, she will carry. Like, it's a fact. She's going to carry these fights, but if they can find an angle on her, lock her down, not get hit by the petrifying gaze, I think that C9 has a really good shot here, because Keith can just roll over GP and do enough work to the front line that the Tristana is not going to be able to outdo at this present time.
And Kumo also has about 2,400 gold to go and spend, so Cloud9 certainly just waiting patiently, maybe for that next Infernal Drake spawn that is up in 50 seconds. You could see the game's pretty much decided, though, around the mid-game. That first Baron fight determined both our games here to start off the series, as Kumo perhaps caught out here. Still hasn't spent that gold, so now he's going to get himself locked up. Pops his stopwatch to buy a bit more time as the TP from Golden Glue will complete.
That's really nice. He's got a Warmog, so he's going to be completely fine here. It's a good timing. Golden Glue does burn his teleport, but Infernal is coming up in 30 seconds, so all you really give up is the opportunity to flank, but you can still do that when you're here, and you might be able to find the pick early because you have vision control.
Here's Golden Glue looking for the flank. Righteous Glory pop. Kumo still hasn't spent that gold. Looking for the knock-up onto Triss, but Tactical rocket jumps early just to make sure. And TSM might feel like they can fight this here. Team going to start by pushing the wave in mid. Hook lands in onto Diamond, but Poke not quite enough from the Cassio.
They can feel that way, but is it that way? Because they don't have anybody to face tech until C9 moves. The Gangplank ultimate is out, though.
Really nice, zoning them all away, but again, on the other side, Flabber finds the Dunk. They've taken out Grig, and Kumo just tanks so much damage. He does get shut down. Diamond also low, and the hook from Treats is massive.
And yes, it looked like a good time to pop Grig, but the rest of the team is down. And now Jarvan is hooked.
This guy, Magnetic with the hooks, is Blabber the next target to get wrapped up in the lasso. Cloud9 just have to run again. Streets does not connect that time, but Tactical maybe jumped a little too far forward. Keto under the miasma is forced to flash away as a slow does land onto Golden Glue from the Petrifying Gaze. That will force the flash.
And they commit so hard there because they know if they get just a few more picks, they could go and turn into the Baron. Instead, they're going to go back into the Infernal Dragon. But that is the damage that Cassiopeia and Tristana are doing right now. They melted the Cho'Gath. It looked like he was just another top laner, not somebody with 8,000 HP.
And now he has the Gargoyle Snowplay, but he did not have that when that fight happened. Just, I think, too long out on the map without spending that gold, and this is what happens.
Yeah, so they looked at Grig and thought, okay, we can pop him right away, but the Gangplank ult prevents everybody else from taking this fight. So the hook puts Cho into the miasma, he dies right away, and Lucian and Braum could never follow up. So a fight that happened in two places ended up benefiting TSM because they were a little bit more focused. And now we're fighting for vision in the red side of the map. C9 pushing for this. You have the Cho to secure Baron if they can, so they do have the say as to who starts this fight.
That Infernal Drake, though, did go to TSM Academy, and one is still very worthwhile to not only take away, but to give yourself a huge boost in stats, especially when you have 4 champions that will benefit from it.
Look at the atomization on the Tristana. She's gone with the complete armor penetration item. That is saying, I am not going to be hitting Lucian. I'm going to be hitting Cho. I'm going to be hitting Jarvan, Braum, and Lissandra that also has armor. So I like the pickup here, and we'll see who she actually uses that damage on because Baron is being started. The fight's going to happen.
Yeah, got to kill the 5k health Cho'Gath sometime. It's Cloud9 are actually sticking on this for quite a while. Kumo pretty tanky, but Blabber not so lucky. Golden Glue also maybe finding a flank. Another good miasma there from a Blaze Olive. Might force Cloud9 off the objective.
That's a really good
Oh, they got Golden Glue Tactical. What a pick!
That's one-on-one. He found them because he had the outrange.
I mean, I saw the flank materializing, but Tactical just sniffed it out. Shot down the Lissandra, who still had ulti, and that Baron call now off for Cloud9. They lose their mid turret as well, and TSM are actually ahead in gold, despite the early game not going that well for them.
The scaling is paying off. Their carries are so fed now. 2 bounties on them, and Gangplank is consistently moving forward. Let's see what happens with Tactical. So he scouts him out right away, jumps in, and Golden Glue can't turn on him right away. Instead, the flash and crits. I mean, this guy knew that 5 crits were there, ready to come out.
As soon as that Buster Shot was in the air, Tactical knew he had the kill. Because if that doesn't work, Lissandra self-ups, and your team probably horribly loses the fight. So whether or not that flash was calculated or just, we'll see what happens.
When in doubt, always give them credit.
Good players do crit more often, so credit where it's due there for Tactical. 4-0-1 now on the Tristana for a lane that looked horrible in the first 10 minutes of play. All of a sudden, this Tristana is set up to carry.
Yeah, she's so strong. She's now going for even more crit items, so probably looking at a rapid fire cannon, which is going to be huge when you're dealing with these meatballs. And only Lissandra that can realistically threaten to get on you, because at the moment she doesn't have a QSS, so keeping that range is going to be the key to her survival.
But thankfully, as the levels do tick up, Tactical gains more and more range. Level 15, starting to collect some jungle camps. I think the team now funneling a few more resources his way, knowing that the Tristana is the strong point. Nice attempted bait, but a great redemption there from Treat. Sniffs out another Cloud9 trap.
That's one of the benefits of the Rek'Sai, that it's very hard to sneak any objective in her side of the jungle. If she wants to face check, you always have your Prey Seeker, and the passive means that you're always aware of any movement, so it's very hard to counter gank, very hard to sneak anything against her. So C9, they're feeling like they're not taking the fights that they want, so by forcing Baron and taking advantage of Cho, maybe that's the window that they're looking for, and it's become a little bit too predictable for TSM now because they're reacting to it perfectly every time.
Yeah, Golden Blue also was just in a side lane, so despite the threat that Cloud9 wanted to show, wasn't really much else they could do. Now gonna try for the tier 2, but a good barrel there from Brandini. Now they're split up, a great ult as well, gonna cut them off. Golden Glue found a pick, they're gonna try and take down Grip, but Tactical just shooting everyone. He rocket jumps in, he's gonna try and carry the back end of the fight. Golden Glue into stasis this time, but Grig already took down Blabber. There's Tac, no, it's Brandini that gets the next kill, and TSM as a Blaze Olive finds himself some sort of outplay kill.
He was practically 1v4ing top side of the map with the GP ultimate. Him and DP were just so strong together, and once again, Blabber and Golden Blue were going on a target that the rest of the team were not aware of. They went on to the Rek'Sai, but she's tanky now. She's got a lot more HP, and there's nobody else to follow up. So Lucian has to be there in these fights. They don't have enough damage now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to get the jungler, because if they get that pick, they can feel like they can force Baron that much harder, but overreaching for that pick just goes disastrously wrong for Cloud9.
So it starts with a really nice barrel and then an ultimate out of Brandini. That sets up the scene. So now a 3v3 in the top side, but then the 2v2 is in the benefit of TSM. The major crowd control abilities and damage abilities were used on the tank, not the carry, making it so easy for Cassiopeia and Gangplank to win the top side of the map. Look at that. He's like, why? What happened?
He got hooked. He got zoned out by a barrel, GP ult happened, and then Treats hooked him, and it looked like a Blaze Olive made some miraculous outplay, but he was well advantaged in his 1v2.
He's now outscaled. The Lucian needs to be playing perfectly in these fights, not just by himself, but how he plays as a team. And Cloud9, they've already done the same mistake twice. Third time is unlikely to happen, but I don't know if they're going to have enough opportunity. Every time a team has gotten Baron in this series, they win a fight and the match is over.
And this Baron will do substantial damage. Tactical takes down another turret. TSM Academy up 6,000 gold now, with still 2 minutes of Baron left to knock down turrets with.
That rapid fire cannon on Tristana is going to be huge now. She's level 16, another level of ultimate, more range added to her. Has flash available by the time the fight begins, so getting onto her is going to be very difficult because you're going to need the Cho to finish the deal with the ultimate. So 3 people are going to have to commit: Lissandra, Jarvan, and Cho.
All good rocket jump buffer. Nice Q from Kuma, but Tactical retreats. TSM just trying to sync up the waves. You can see Brandini in the mid lane, looking to get things pushing that way. They do want to break an inhibitor turret if they can, but it's not required. Again, TSM can lean on their scaling a little bit here. Cloud9 needs to come up with something to stop this assault.
They're not doing any flanks. They're taking the fight just perfectly head-on. Another nice rocket jump out of Tactical. And if it's going to be this head-on 5v5, but the engage happens.
Yep, Golden Glue in, finds the ulti onto a Blaze Olive. The Cassio flashes out of the way. Blabber piles onto Grig. That goes into the ulti as they buy a bit more time. Blabber also into stasis with Verandini finally arrives. A Blaze Olive is unstoppable as he grabs himself a double kill. And C9 just can't do anything.
And by taking the fight head-on, you just give TSM exactly what they want. Cassiopeia and Tristana thrive in these circumstances. They're going to be pushing for the throne.
I mean, I think they're out of time at that point. Cloud9 had to try something with TSM. Definitely deflected. Keith goes down. They'll find themselves the ace. They'll knock down the Nexus turrets. And it's match point now for TSM Academy, looking to upset the defending champions.
And it looks like TSM has come ready to play. They are firing on all cylinders here, drafting intelligently and taking fights every single time that it benefits them. It looks like Baron has become such a powerful objective in this series now that I'm thinking that these teams are going to be making some drastic changes. I don't believe that these teams have left everything that they have to show on the Rift just yet. I think that there's still going to be more surprises.
I think so, but Cloud9 had a lead. They had vision. They have a Cho'Gath.
Yeah.
And they just played so slow in that mid game. Like,
They needed to pull the trigger very quickly, but without Lucian being there, it's so hard to finish these fights off. I want to see them give more damage champions to Blabber, specifically him. The Jarvan is nice to set everyone else up, but the Hecarim game he had, he dealt 4,000 damage in one fight. He's capable of doing it, and I think they look so much better when he can assist the damage in these fights, not just the engage.
And for TSM Academy, it feels like everyone's starting to play well. Brandini on a carry, Tactical on a more late game carry. Even a Blaze Olive's Cassio looked wonderful in that series.
Oh, and the dodge in mid lane where he dodges the Jarvan, sidesteps it, then cleanses right away, and hits the Cassiopeia ultimate. That's as big of an outplay as you want to see in a Cassiopeia versus Lissandra matchup.
And look, we talked about Grig kind of being the one that measures where the team is up to, but he didn't have a particularly good game, and the rest of his team rose to the challenge. I think Treats especially, I mean, I can see why he picks hook champions because it feels like he never misses.
Yeah, he hit one fight, 3 hooks in a row that just saved the game. And when you're up against Cho, sure, you're very tanky, but if you get hooked time and time again, you're a hook magnet. You actually are so fat that it just sticks to you, and Cassiopeia and Triss melt you.
Well, for more on Game 3, let's hand it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. How about that red side, huh?
Looks good.
Looking pretty good.
TSM goes to it.
Everyone
again.
keeps selecting blue, but the red side teams keep winning it. TSM coming out on top this time around pushes the series to match point in their favor, 2-1 at this point. Let's see what they did with the red side. We see the GP coming up into the top lane. Right before we went live here, you were talking kind of about that pick, seeing it hit the ban table fairly often, not so much actually making it to the Rift.
Yeah, DeMonte was dropping some insider knowledge for me, saying that it's been played a lot in Scrim, so everyone's kind of aware of it, and I think this is the first time I can remember seeing it recently, but it is a super strong teamfight champion, and in the first 3 picks for C9, they already have the Lucian and Lissandra taken. So you are an early game team fight team, but like you are very short range. And so when you take the Cassio and the GP and eventually the Tristana as well, like you're such a long range team. C9 needs to snowball this game.
Yeah, it felt like a Blaze Olive really I mean, he soaked so much pressure this game. At the same time he was soaking pressure, he was like turning around kills nonstop and like every gank that he got on. Like you saw multiple times Golden Glue would try to engage on him and he would just cleanse and turn around and kill. I think he ended up killing Blabber like 2 different times that way.
Right.
And it's like, that's huge. Like at the same time, you're pulling the jungler to your lane, like the enemy jungler to your lane. You're also killing him. Like instantly now, your top and bot laner are just like, wow, my mid laner is like, this guy's faker.
Right, and those moves that he was making were necessary given the CS leads that were developing in the top lane for Cloud9. You talk about that early game focus in the Lucian, in the bot lane. Well, CS advantages for Kumo as well as Keith at 10 minutes. Those are not inconsequential leads.
Yeah, and they Keith and Diamond actually solo killed their bot lane once, almost killed them a number of times. And if the jungler's down there, you're blowing them up and taking turret. You're getting top lane and killing that GP a couple of times. With the fact that they didn't punish those 2 lanes quite as hard as they potentially could have. Plus, like you said, things going well in the mid lane. Like these CS numbers could have been game ending with their comp. They played it pretty well, so I don't really fault the draft. They just didn't get the lead they needed.
Let's dive into that recovery then for TSM. It all came from Grig as well as a Blazed Olive in the mid lane. A couple intelligent counter ganks around Blabber will get those early kills that you were talking about.
Yeah, like you saw him, he sidestepped the driving combo here, and then as soon as he does that, it's like, it's just gonna be really easy. I think just one thing I could say about this draft is picking Lissandra when Cassio is open is very risky. I think it's not the end of the world playing that matchup, but it definitely is a champion that if I was in this matchup, I'd much rather be Cassio than Lissandra, just because it feels like you have so much more room to outplay and just do more in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Cassio is really punishing, especially for a Jarvan too. Like if you go in with that combo, you have no way of getting out. And Cassio puts that damage out real quick. So you go in, you have cleanse on it as well. So Lissandra starts it off. You cleanse the stun, and then you get to turn onto the J4, and Grig was always there at the right time to give the extra bit of CC in front line for a Blaze Olive, and they just kept smashing those 2v2s, and it's just like, send the J4 top, send the J4 bot. It's so much easier than the one lane where you actually did get counterpicked.
Right, and in this case, in Game 3, it felt like Cloud9 was on a bit of a clock, right? With that early game focus, they needed to take those leads they built in the side lanes and actually turn them, convert them into a win. That didn't happen, which extends the game time to 30 minutes. That's where TSM finds their game-winning fight in the mid lane here, plus a Baron off the back of it.
Such a disastrous start to the fight. Keith's getting chunked out by the GP, getting blown up, doesn't have anywhere to go, gets hooked. He's dead at the start of the fight. Meanwhile, your Lissandra and your J4 on the other part of the fight. Cho'Gath is extended. Like, You are not team fighting front to back. You're not going in with Lissandra and insta-giving someone like your team comp wants to do. And as soon as that happened, you see that it just falls off a cliff. They get the Baron, the game's over like 5 minutes later.
This was very Game 1-esque in terms of the way it ultimately played out. Maybe some small advantages for Cloud9 early, and then there's that one game-deciding team fight that comes at the 25 to 30-minute mark. From there, a Baron gets picked up, and the teams have demonstrated that once they secure that global objective, they do know how to close the game.
Yeah, I think I really like how TSM is drafting right now. They're kind of just playing more for mid-late game. They're kind of just playing a more relaxing style. I think both of the losses now from C9, they're playing pretty like early game oriented comps, and it seems like they just aren't able to pull it off at like the highest level, so they can't win the game fast enough.
I mean, same with TSM. When they lost their game, they drafted the all early game comp. So it does feel like while they could potentially, like both teams have been close to making those early game comps work, but they haven't. So maybe you just kind of pivot and say, let's go a little bit late game focused, because the Jinx was great for Keith.
I got big news. TSM chose red side. Again, they had side selection here going into the 4th game, so maybe now recognizing the trend or what red side does for them in the draft. Monte, you talk about liking their drafts. What would be the way for Cloud9 staying on blue side here to attack that draft? How do you dismantle that?
Honest, I kind of want to see like less of like team comps that are just going to rely on you getting ahead early. And something more just well-rounded. I think a lot of these comps that they're running, like you have Jarvan and Lissandra on the same team, it's like you need to make something happen to those champions, and if you don't, you're going to get outscaled. And where I do think that is good and you are going to get an advantage early, I think what these teams are showing right now is that they're not playing consistently well enough to make that worth it.
All right.
So I would like to see a bit of a change in that.
Fair enough. It is match